Alright, not another Gold Monster 2000 video. Sorry guys, mate of mine got one and he couldn't get out for a little while and said, oh, you're welcome to borrow it. Yeah, so I've been out for maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes swinging this thing, getting sort of familiar with the sounds. I'm in mild ground, but we had a lot of rain last night, so the ground's very wet. I tried benign setting, which is that one, and it's just too crazy. It just goes off on everything. Had to sort of drop the sensitivity down to about 5 to get it quiet. Difficult seems too muted. It's like I want to manually turn the sensitivity higher, but I can't. So what I've done, the happy compromise in this soil seems to be the medium setting. I don't even know what it's called, normal or whatever, with my sensitivity down on about 7. That seems to be the go. I got a couple of spots where I wasn't sure what it was doing and scraped a couple of inches and the signal sort of scattered, so it's probably charcoal. Now I've got one signal here. Just make sure it's balanced. Now, that sounds like a good target to me. Nothing's happening on display. So I'll just show you the different ground modes. So in benign, it's definitely louder. Like you can hear on the ground. It's terrible. Like, yeah, you can't run that, obviously. So if I go to difficult, there's just no noise at all. But that signal's gone. If I turn the sensitivity up, yeah, max 10. Nothing but chatter. Okay. Normal sensitivity 7. I'm getting a nice response. Okay, so I've grabbed my AlgoForce with the little Sadie Mark II. Still nice and shiny. I've only been out with it very briefly. We're on sensitivity 20, ultra fine. Let's see how we go. Nothing. So I'll grab the monster and we'll dig the hole. Now if it's a target, that's 1 tick for the monster. If it's ground noise, that's 1 tick for the AlgoForce. But the monster did blank it out in the difficult setting. But this ground, I can run the normal setting on the monster and it seems good generally. So we'll see what this target is. So I've just gone and scraped off just that surface layer of grass and pine needles just to get down to the dirt. Doesn't seem as good. I'll go across the dirt. Dirt's reacting a little bit, but that was a nice clean signal in the beginning. Sort of still something there. I'll see if I can scrape a little bit more off. Where's my pick gone? Oh. We're in the crunchy stuff, so I have found gold almost on the surface here before. Gone. Gone. Well, looks like that was ground noise. Now, you know, before you say, oh, I just run it in difficult, well, this is my first ground noise after 20 minutes. So, you know, if I have to dig a ground noise every 20 minutes, doesn't matter. I'd rather run it in the more powerful mode, you know what I mean? Until I start getting some targets and comparing the two. Yeah, I'd rather run it in the more powerful mode, and being able to drop the sensitivity down is giving me that smoother threshold. So as you saw before, in difficult it was sort of muted, and I want to crank the sensitivity to max, but then my threshold's chattering, which I don't like. Alright, we'll keep going and try and get some more targets. I got my first signal at any depth. I was getting excited. The signal was wasn't going away as I was digging away the overburden, but unfortunately, chunk of charcoal. You can see the shiny carbon. Oh well, that can go back in there. Alright, so I've been detecting for another about 40 minutes, trying to sort of get a target down at some kind of depth so I can compare with the AlgoForce. But all I've been picking up is hot rocks and charcoal. Now some of them are a lot better in difficult. Some of them are still detectable in difficult. So what I thought I'd do is just sort of put them all out just to show you what kind of stuff it's been picking up. So I'm in difficult and 8. The threshold's got like a stutter to it. Okay. So that's the biggest hot rock. It's almost like a bit of conglomerate. I might actually take that one and put it in a dolly pot. That one there's sort of like a smooth one. That's a bit of a rougher sort of sandstone. That's the bit of charcoal. Now I've found lots of charcoal, but I've just kept the one which is the loudest screamer. There's that little black hot rock, and there's another smaller sort of sandstony one. Okay. That one kind of tracks out. You can hear how the ground balance goes out. So remember, if you're ground balancing stuff out, when you start detecting, remember to rebalance again. That one's quite positive. It's the charcoal, still detectable and difficult. This little black hot rock is quite positive. And then the last one. Yeah, enough of a signal that you'd have a scratch, which is what I did. So I'll go to the normal. Make sure we're balanced. And look at the meter here. So yeah, you can see why I dug all these. Well, I'm just curious to see how the AlgoForce will react to these. Bear in mind they've been dug up and they're sitting on the surface now. Okay, fired up the AlgoForce. I'm on sensitivity 20 Ultra. I could probably run 20 here when the ground is really dry, but when the ground is wet, I would probably drop that to about 18, to be honest. You know, with a super sensitive coil and running ultra, yeah, 18 would still give me plenty of sensitivity and minimize any ground responses. So let's have a look. So that first one's very positive. There might actually be some gold in that. Let's see the second one. Nothing. Third one. You can hear I'm actually touching it. Nothing. The bit of charcoal, that was absolutely screaming on the monster. Nothing. Now, just to prove I haven't done anything trickery here, there's my pick. Alright, this little hot rock, the black one. Kind of gives me a really slight sort of a boing as I go past it. It could also be how I scrape this ground. But pretty much nothing there. And the last one. Not much there at all. Well, that one is screaming. So yeah, keen to get that in the dolly pot. Alright, I've cleared those hot rocks out of the way, and I've dug some little holes that go sort of progressively deeper. Now, I'm standing on the wrong side because the sun's out, and if I stand on the other side, my shadow will be cast across and you won't see. So I don't want to move them, but just to show you. So that's a 0.08 of a gram. We got a 0.1, 0.13. This one, some dirt's fallen on it. I'll just it's a 0.31, well, no, 0.32, sorry. And then this one, which is the deepest, is a half gram, 0.51. We'll go across it first with the monster. Now, I know I keep saying monster, but it is the Monster 2000. Okay, and you can tell because it's got a threshold. The original monster doesn't have a threshold. So I mean, normal, well, let's be fair, normal 7 is what I was running it on in this ground. .08. Yep. 0.1. Yep. 0.13. Now, just to show you, nothing's actually coming up on the display. It's purely just audio. 0.32. Very, very faint. Don't know if that would pull me up. Depends on how quiet the machine was running. If the machine was super stable, you'd probably have a scratch at that, but if you were getting lots of false signals, which I was, you probably wouldn't stop on that. And the 0.51. Just make sure it's ground balanced. Geez, only because I know there's something there, that I'm trying to hear something there, but what do you guys reckon? Can you hear it? That's what the ground sounds like. That's my pick. Get that out of the way. So it's struggling. Okay. Go to difficult, and just for the sake of the demonstration, go to 9. Now it's quite chattery. I don't like that. Eight seems a lot better. Just one number difference. But we'll put it on 9. It's coming through clearer, if anything. That's the 0.1. That's definitely nice. .13, we'd be digging that. 0.32. Just. No, there's nothing there. So yeah, definitely struggling on these last two. I will get a ruler after I've finished recording, and just to show you what the depth is on those two. But let's see how the AlgoForce does. E1500 Plus, Sadie Mark II, sensitivity 20 in Ultra. Yeah, ground balanced. 0.08. Nice positive signal. 0.1. Booming. 0.13. That will definitely pull you up. The 0.32. Every time I keep sweeping the coil, I'm flicking more dirt in there. And the 0.51. Bit of a change, but it's struggling on that. But I can hear something. I think the dirt sort of piled up on this side, so you can't do a nice clean sweep across it. If we put the dirt back in the hole. Have a look. It's not screaming, but it's repetitive, and there's a positive change. That is the kind of signal that you should have a little scrape on and get your coil a little bit closer. Okay, well, to be fair, I'll fire up the monster again and see how it does on that now that it's sort of flattened and filled in. You tell me, would you dig that? Point of reference. .08 has... I thought it was louder, but that might have been in the normal ground type. So they're definitely pulling us up. Experienced guy would have a scratch at that, maybe, but this 0.5, don't think so. Well, I started taking the targets out, and then I remembered I said I'd going to measure the last two. I can't measure the 0.5 because I've buried it. Should have measured it first, maybe. Anyway, it's all comparative. So this one, which is the 0.32, I can't get the ruler down as deep as the target is because the target's in a hole and the ruler's flat. But I'm getting, I don't know if you can see that, but it's sort of 9.5. So it's probably, maybe another centimetre, so could be 100 mil roughly. So the 0.5 was obviously deeper, and then these were shallower and shallower. Well, I detected for another half hour or so with the monster. I got sick of digging charcoal, so I flicked it into difficult, and admittedly difficult does a great job. They almost disappear. It's like the signal on hot rocks reduces by a little bit in difficult, but charcoal's 90% gone. So difficult's good for charcoal. I was trying to avoid going difficult because I know the ground generally is not too bad here, but yeah, the charcoal just became too much of a pain. So I was running around in difficult, sensitivity 8, too chattery on the threshold for me. 7 sort of okay, still not super smooth. So anyway, I decided to switch over to the AlgoForce for the trek back to the car. and within 2 minutes lovely signal. I've just sort of scraped the surface with my boot, but I'll give it a little scrape with the pick. Oh. Be careful when you're working in these pine needles because you can so easily lose your target. It's booming, so it's probably not too deep. Yeah, I've moved it. Okay, we got it in the scoop. My hand, hopefully. No. Or is it? It's pretty small. Still in the scoop. My hand. Oh, look at that. Gold foil. Bugger. Someone's playing games. Could be a cigarette wrapper or something. Yeah. That's why the signal's going all weird, because it... Hang on, what's this? Is that more of that? Yeah, it's all just sort of broken up in the scoop. There's bits of it everywhere. I can see gold everywhere, but it's not gold.